Hello and welcome to the Healthy Happy Gut program. I'm really excited to have you guys join me for this and work with me for this because I know that it can really help the way you feel because I've been there myself and I've seen the effects of working on your gut health and how much better it can make you feel. And I really want that for you too. So if you follow your instructions, what the plan is all about, so dietary changes and supplementation as well as any lifestyle changes that I recommend. If you follow your plans, I promise there will be really good results at the end of the 8 weeks, okay? Today, what I wanted to talk to you guys about is the function of the gut. So without knowing how the gut should function, we don't really know what to compare our gut to. And we can't recognize anything that's wrong with our gut if we don't know how a good healthy gut functions. So, without further ado, basically what the gut is made up of is our esophagus, our stomach, our small intestines, and our large intestines. Now, inside of these organs is a mucous membrane. So that looks much like the inside of our mouth. What this mucous membrane does is allows water and nutrients into the bloodstream from the digestion. So if we have a think about leaky gut, if we can envision a screen door. A screen door has tiny little holes in it that allows air to flow through. But in the sake of the gut, it allows water and nutrients to flow into the bloodstream. What happens in leaky gut is these holes become larger and more permeable. So then if we consider maybe a screen door that has had a few baseballs thrown at it, a cat scratching at it, it's got bigger holes in it. So what happens then is foreign particles are now able to enter the bloodstream that shouldn't be entering the bloodstream. So whether that be bacteria, parasites, undigested food proteins, whatever it might be, this then triggers an immune response, and how that shows up in each individual is different. So we don't all have the same reaction. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what each of those organs do. So we have the esophagus, which basically allows food to travel down from our mouth into our stomach. Now, what happens when it hits the stomach is the stomach produces stomach acid, and this helps to break down our food. Now, the stomach is actually only quite small. It fits about one sausage in it, usually, unless it's stretched out. So, when you are eating large amounts of food, your stomach is working really hard to break that food down into a gooey paste and send it into the small intestine. So it's working super hard and probably not doing the job as well as it should be if you are eating large amounts of food. So next what happens is the stomach will push that down into the small intestines, and the small intestine basically mixes digestive juices and digestive food to allow contact in that mucous membrane to then allow water and nutrients to flow into the bloodstream. The small intestine will also complete the digestion process. Now, a common condition that many people have is SIBO. So SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So we are supposed to have a small amount of normal bacteria in the small intestine, but what happens in SIBO is that we have too much bacteria, normal bacteria, it's not necessarily bad bacteria, we have too much of it in the wrong place, so we should only have small amounts there. So when we're having too much of it in the small intestines, that's going to create a fermentation process and could be the reason why you get so much upper abdominal bloating, you get smelly flatulence, you're burping a lot, because basically it's fermenting in the gut and it shouldn't be because of all that bacteria there. Next, so that was just to touch on SIBO because I know a few people are interested in it and have probably experience those sort of symptoms at one time or another. And a lot of people do have that condition. It is extremely common. Next, the small intestine sends the digested food into the large intestine, and the large intestine will finish off the absorption of nutrients. It will produce certain B vitamins, and it'll convert protein into amino acids, and we know that amino acids are like our cell structure building blocks. So we need amino acids for our cells to thrive. It also forms our feces and eliminates waste and toxins. So ideally, everything kind of comes out nice and quickly and easily. When it's sitting in the gut, it produces more toxins and pathogenic bacteria. Okay. We also know that there is a huge connection called the gut-brain axis. So the gut is linked to the brain and vice versa. We know that when we are feeling anxious or stressed, we might need to run to the toilet a little more often than what we usually do. We also know that when we're eating foods that trigger inflammation in the gut, we feel foggy in the brain, or we have really low energy, or our mood changes and shifts. We get really irritable maybe. So that's really good to know, because if you've tried all the things for mental health in the past and they've not worked, this will help, because we know that without addressing the gut, you won't get better, okay? Now, almost 100% of our serotonin, so our feel-good, happy hormone serotonin, is produced in the gut. And we know that depression is closely associated to low serotonin levels. So if you have depression, you really need to address your gut at the end of the day, because if you're not producing the serotonin because of ill gut health, then you can't really, solve or fix the root cause of your depression, okay? So that's why it's really important to work on our gut health, because without that, we're not going to get or feel better. So basically, ideally, when your gut is healthy, you'll absorb all of the nutrients. You'll decommission all of the harmful microscopic invaders, and you'll quickly eliminate toxins and waste. Now, that's in an ideal world. Most of us don't do that, okay? Most of us do have gut problems, and it's not necessarily your fault or each individual person's fault. It's no one's fault. It's our lifestyles these days are a lot different to how they used to be. So we have more chemical exposure, we're exposed to a lot more toxins, we also are exposed to a lot more stress. Our lives are very busy, we kind of don't stop. All of that will affect our gut health. And also medications will affect our gut health, and we can't help but to have to take medications at times, because without them we won't get better either. So it's really important to address that. No one can be perfect, but we can do things in order to help support our gut health, to better deal with our health and feel healthier and more energetic and feel well overall, okay? So no one is perfect, and no one ever will be perfect when it comes to gut health. It's ongoing work. So at the end of this 8 weeks, if you drop everything you've just learned and go back to old ways, it's kind of a waste of time at the end of the day. What I want from this program is to teach you ways in which you can incorporate things that address your gut health on a daily basis for the rest of your life. You don't have to be perfect, but if you're doing small steps each day, each week, you will get better and feel better, okay? Now, one thing that I haven't discussed is our microbiome. Ideally, 85% good bacteria to 15% bad bacteria. We know that most people have an unhealthy gut bacteria ratio, and we'll discuss why this is later on. but obviously things like antibiotics, medications, stress, the foods that we eat. So for example, we know that pathogenic bacteria feeds off of sugar, which is why there's no like refined sugar in this nutrition plan, because if you're constantly feeding it, it's not going to die, and you won't get better. So we really want to eliminate that bad bacteria. It is okay to have that 15% bad bacteria, but when we have more than that, that's when we need to address it, and most of us do. We also know that 80% of our immune system lives in and around our gut. So you can see why gut health is so essential to our overall health and well-being. Our immune system's like our powerhouse. So anything, you will get an immune response from so many different things. And at the end of the day, it's your immune system that either allows you to have disease or helps you to not have disease. So we really want to do everything that we can in order to support a healthy gut, to support our immune system. So to summarize everything, our gut breaks down food to utilize for cellular energy and repair. It helps us create our necessary hormones such as serotonin, and it's closely associated to the nervous system, our brain, and our immune system. And when it's not functioning well, it's going to affect every other aspect of our health. So I hope you guys have taken some key little pointers from this talk and taken away some information that will stick with you for life. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about the function of the gut, or even any gut health related questions in general, please let me know, because I'd love to address it. Because if you've thought of that question, I'm sure someone else has probably thought about that question as well. No question is a silly question. Happy to help whenever I can. Yeah, so please let me know and share with me if you are having trouble with anything. Okay guys, have a great week, and thank you for listening. And yeah, I'll talk to you again next week. See you later.